Hey everyone, welcome back to the Thermal Noise YouTube channel. Today, we're talking about one of the biggest tone debates in our industry. Single coil pickups versus humbuckers and the advantages each option can provide, as well as comparing them in the context of a mix and blending all of the tone stacks together into one massive wall of sound. In this song, we tracked a left and right side of a baritone Squier-made Telecaster with single coils and an LTD with Fishman Fluence modern humbucker pickups in them. All of the guitars are playing the same rhythm part, and we're going to solo each one, compare their tones, and talk about what each pickup does sonically, the pros and cons, and why you'd pick one over the other for a song. So let's get into it. If you aren't familiar with the differences between a single coil pickup and a humbucker, a single coil pickup is just one coil of wire wrapped around magnets. They're typically bright, open, and very articulate, but they can also be pretty noisy and have a hum to them at times. A humbucker, on the other hand, is two coils wired together out of phase with each other to cancel that noise, and because of the way those coils interact, humbuckers put out more signal while sounding thicker, warmer, and compressed a little more naturally. Both options are great and provide a specific role. All right, so looking at the track here, you'll see all my guitar layers, a left and a right of the LTD and the Squier. Let's go ahead and mute the Squier and just listen to the LTD solo and in the context of the mix. Now, after listening to the LTD and the humbuckers, you can tell how the low mids are thick, it's super resonant, and the distortion feels really smooth. Now let's go on to the Telecaster, the Squier, and let's listen to that in solo and in the context of the mix. Let's talk about what we're hearing with this after we listen to it. So what I'm hearing with the Telecaster is that there's brighter top end and the notes feel more stringy. The pick attack is also super defined here. It also sits really cleanly in the mids and helps accentuate the pick attack and the note definition. Now let's have a little bit of fun with this and let's see what happens whenever we blend both together. The Telecaster is going to be really nice for the pick attack. The LTD is going to be really nice for the density and the low mid thickness. So let's see what we get. So what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to solo the guitar bus, I'm going to mute the Telecaster and play just the LTD and solo, and I'm going to unmute the Telecaster so you guys can hear what it's doing to the tone overall with that pick attack that I was talking about earlier and the mid-range. And in the context of the mix. One thing to note, whenever you're blending in guitar tones like this, you are going to get volume jumps. So what I did here is I blended in the Telecaster a little bit quieter than the LTD, and then I went to my guitar bus and just adjusted for the overall volume jump. So just keep that in mind whenever you're doing things like this. The nice thing about doing it this way as well is together you get clarity and power instead of choosing one over the other. Blending guitars is a very common thing to do in modern rock and metal productions, so I would urge you to experiment around with your tones and see what you can come up with. But at the end of the day, why would you want to choose single coils? You usually reach for single coils when you have a dense arrangement and you need some clarity, or when you need that super bitey mid-range presence. They shine in tone stacks to support the mix and not take up so much space in the low mids, and they are super underrated on low-tuned heavy tracks. Humbuckers, on the other hand, are typically most people's standard go-to when you want that classic, thick, distorted rhythm tone for rock and metal, or when you're craving a little more sustain for your leads. They can hit your pedals and amps a little bit harder and fill up that low mid-range that single coils struggle to do. You will, however, come across issues with a muddy tone with humbuckers that you don't track and layer them properly, and you will miss out on some clarity overall, which will require tasteful EQ moves in the context of your mix. In our track, obviously, we chose to blend all of them together because each one solves the other's weakness while also creating a unique tone you wouldn't get otherwise by just using one guitar panned left and right using the exact same tone. Something else you could do to take this a step further as well is you could go into each individual guitar track, EQ them differently, slightly change the tone, slightly change the cab that you're using with each tone, and make your guitars sound really wide. And we'll save that for a video in the future to show you guys how we approach that. With that being said, that's it for this week's video. Let us know in the comments below which pickup style you prefer for your guitar tone and if you've ever blended them together for unique results. If you enjoy production-focused breakdowns like this, hit the like and subscribe button. I'm Johnny, and we'll see you in the next thermal noise session.